Welcome. From wherever and whenever you join us, you are welcome here to this collaborative worship service of the Baja four Unitarian Universalist congregations located in Southeast Arizona, with two in Tucson, Mountain Vista UU, and the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson, one in Amado, Borderlands UU, and one in Sierra Vista, Sky Island. Over the course of our working together, we've taken up a phrase, and I think it's gained momentum and meaning as we've lived it. We are stronger together. I want to take a moment to savor that. In the March of 2020, 4 congregations came together quickly to create and share worship. And that amalgam of staff has brought so much creativity, humor, and compassion into so many of our lives. And each one of our congregations has members and friends who've shared their stories, their poems, their paintings, their sculpture, their music, their hearts, their thoughts, their wisdom. We truly have been stronger together. In this worship, we will celebrate the firmer ground that we stand on in this time of upheaval, change, possibility. And one of the things I know we stand on is this collaboration that we have undertaken. I also know that we're supported by the UUA and by each other, by our communities, and you, whoever you are, a person who seeks to live an examined and thoughtful life, you are welcome here. May you come into this place knowing that your whole self, mind, heart, body, even if we're online, all of us are welcome here. And so let us engage, enter, be present, alive, as we reflect, connect, and worship together.
We are the Baja 4, representing Unitarian Universalists across Southern Arizona. Though we come from different places, we share the common covenant of our Unitarian Universalist principles.
I bring sand from Sierra Vista, which is the home of Sky Island Unitarian Universalist Church.
May we be grounded by this earth.
We bring air from the Catalina Mountains, which stand tall over the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson.
May we be enlivened by this air.
I bring water from the Santa Cruz River, which nourishes the land and all its creatures around Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist congregation.
May we be nourished by this water.
I bring fire, source of all creation. From Borderlands, Unitarian Universalist, symbolizing the hot sun of our Sonoran Desert.
May we be inspired by this fire.
From this land, this air, these waters, this fire, we know that we are part of a great interdependent web of creation which holds us all. As Unitarian Universalists, we join together as the Baja 4 to acknowledge our interdependence with one another and with all of the earth.
We gather as the Baja 4. We are stronger together.
Earth, air, water, fire. Independently, they each have a unique story. Interdependently, they tell the story of life. Living and dying, beautiful and flawed, whole and diverse, life is one. This one story is also the tale of the human beings of the land. From the first people who migrated here and adapted to living here, through the waves of Spanish, Mexican, and American theft, enslavement, and genocide of those same people, to the deep separation of our ethnic backgrounds, the economic disparities, cultural divisions that we live with today, the story of the people of this land is hard. It's hard to learn. It's hard to feel. It's hard to live into. But grounded, enlivened, nourished, and inspired as we are by this land, we must learn this human story and then join in the drafting of the next chapter. Our faith, it calls us to interdependence, to live into a story that is always more than the sum of its parts. And so the Chiricahua Apache, the Pascua Yaqui, the Otham, and the Apata peoples, the ancestors of the land's first people, they're more than our neighbors. Well, independently, we can recognize that they and we have unique stories. But interdependently, we are called to be more than neighbors and to have a new story to learn and to discover and to live into together. May it be so.
Well, I'm really excited because we have something new to announce at Mountain Vista. We have hired our new music director, and I know you are dying to know who it is. Have you heard?
Have you heard?
I haven't heard. Have you?
I don't know what's going on.
I can't wait to find out who my new colleague will be at MVUU.
Who is it?
Really? Ah, cool.
Be that helper nothing daunts, doubt of a friend or taunt of foe, ever strive for liberty, show the path that life should go. Be that builder trusting good, bitter though the test may be, through all ages they are right, though they build in agony. Be that teacher faith directs, move beyond the old frontier, though the frightened fear that dare faith be tomorrow's pioneer.
Hi friends, I'm out in my garden today in the, well, it's only 97 degrees today in the weather, and I'm thinking about our story that we have for today. appears on the surface like a really simple story with a really simple message. But the more I think about it, the more complex this story gets for me. So hang with me at the end here, because I want to untangle some of the threads that I see in this story with you. So here we go. Once upon a time, a long time ago, there was a farmer who had a donkey. Now the farmer let the donkey wander around the farm day in and day out, as donkeys do. He would hitch him up to the cart to go into town when they needed to, and let the donkey wander around when he wasn't needed. Well, one day, the farmer is out on the farm and hears this very intense, very urgent braying from the donkey. "Hee-haw," says the donkey, and the farmer looks around and finally realizes that the donkey has fallen into this huge pit that the farmer and some friends were digging in order to build another well on the property. The farmer calls up all the friends in the community and says, "You gotta come help me get my donkey out of this pit. I need this donkey." So all the friends come over and they do everything they can to try and get the donkey out of the pit. And nothing works. So the farmer, being practical as the farmer is, finally says, "You know what? This donkey was old. This donkey was probably towards the end of his life. We're just going to go ahead and bury the donkey in the pit. We don't have the pit. We also don't have to dig another pit to bury the donkey later on." So the friends and the farmer all grab their shovels and they start to shovel dirt onto the donkey. Well, the donkey, of course, is understandably pretty angry when dirt starts raining down on it from up above. And then the donkey gets an idea. The donkey shakes the dirt off its back and it stomps around at the bottom of this pit and realizes it's gone up just a few millimeters. And then another shovel full of dirt. It pats it down with its hooves and it's gone up a few more millimeters. And by the end of the day, the donkey's head has started to rise out of the pit as it smooshes down the dirt the farmer and the friends are pouring onto its back. And by the middle of the night, the donkey has emerged out of the pit and walks away free. That's our story, the story of the donkey in the pit. Now, some people end this story by saying, "See, if you just change your perspective, everything will be okay. The rain of dirt isn't really dirt, it's stepping stones to get you out of the pit." That's not exactly what I think, although it may be some days. The story, though, that I want to extract out of this tale of the donkey and the farmer and the friends is that unintentionally, this farmer helped the donkey get out of the pit. And it wasn't just the farmer. It was the farmer and the neighbors and the dirt and the shovel and the donkey all working together to save the donkey from the pit. Our community is what helps get us out of the pit when we're there. That's my question for you today. Who's your community? What are they helping you with? How are they helping you get out of the pit or the heat or the emotions or whatever it is that you need support with? And importantly, whose support team are you on?
My life flows on in endless song, above its lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn, that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing?
What though the tempest strongly roars? I know
2 Baja 4 services ago, Reverend Samantha introduced us to a story that the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker told about her trip to seminary. She and a friend had been traveling along and noticed the after effects of a flood, not realizing they were actually coming on an ongoing flood. And when they did, they realized they had to scramble from their car to get to higher ground. Parker writes, "Soaked to the bone, we huddled under a fir tree. No longer were we lodged in our familiar vehicle. The cold water of the storm poured down on us, baptizing us to the present, a present from which we had been insulated by both our car and our misjudgments about the country we were traveling through." I agree with Reverend Samantha that we live in a floodplain. We are soaked. We have had to scramble out of our car, and there is no getting back into it soon. We are baptized by cold water into our present, and we see it clearly. As comforting as that car seems, why would we want to clamber back in? Why wouldn't we want to stay alert to this unprecedented floodplain we now inhabit? I don't have easy answers for how we move forward, but I do know that times of storm strip away what isn't important. It leaves what really matters. You find yourself standing on what you truly believe, what really works, what really moves you forward. And we are in such a time. But of course, we are standing on firm ground to some extent already. As Unitarian Universalists, we have a lot of pockets of firm ground. I don't mean our church buildings. I don't mean the things we've built up without thought over the years. But we are grounded in some important things that have meant we have moved forward, we have survived, and we have learned from storms. First, we have many sources, both in the present and ancient, that introduce us to prophets from the Hebrew Bible and from other faiths, prophets about climate change, right now in the present. And from these prophets, I take an important lesson. They are not clairvoyant. They do not see the future because they have special supernatural gifts. They have clear vision about the present. They see clearly the reality of the world around them, of where they are. They are soaked and they know it and they are awake. They see things like the fact that if you continue to ignore or exploit the most vulnerable, the widow, the orphan, the one without health insurance, your world will come tumbling down. And we see our world tumbling down, and we see inequities pervading every problem of our world, whether it be healthcare, housing, how we respond to a pandemic, those who have to be on the front lines and those who don't, those who can get a vaccine and those in countries who can't, those most affected by climate change. We have woken up. We've started to see, but we must stay out of the insulated car and continue to name the reality around us, to look with prophet eyes at our present, to learn what might be the next firm ground we can move to. While I don't have quick and easy answers, in our last Baja 4 service, Reverend Bethany reminded us that sometimes there are ways forward that you can see clearly. I believe we don't always have to scramble to the first piece of ground we find, but we can choose. Sometimes we can choose a better land to stand on. And as Reverend Bethany encouraged us last week, we can be a people of welcoming instead of just welcome. People who are continuing to grow and learn how to be more inclusive, how to be more drenched, how to be more awake. We can do that. And we come from a faith that puts us in touch with so many voices that encourage us to do so. We come from a faith that encourages diversity and growth and change. That's another piece of solid ground we have. Last May, Jamili Omar told the story that Reverend Gary Kowalski tells about his time walking in the forest, hiking with his dog and his wife, and how sometimes the ground is boggy, soft, and when you move from one stepping stone to another, it's hard, and you need friends to support you and sing silly songs and a walking stick. And he sees Unitarian Universalism as being like a walking stick, because this faith, unlike many, grows as we grow. It takes one form when we're small, and as we get older, we can take on new things and learn and grow. He says it's also like a walking stick, because it's not a religion that solves all our problems. It's not a religion that can magically lift us over the muddy places. It's not a religion that can spare us the necessity to dig deep and struggle when there's a boulder we have to climb over or other challenges come along. This is a faith that equips us to be able to change and grow and struggle with the obstacles we come across, with the storms that pound us. It is part of our tradition. And part of this tradition is diversity, not looking to one faith to guide us, but to many sources, many forms of wisdom. Margaret Wheatley writes in her book, Leadership and the New Science, Discovering Order in a Chaotic World, that in a world of constant change, and she was writing this before the pandemic, so it really applies now, it is important to take your information from many sources, like a wave that covers many points. We don't know the truth of our reality. We need to gather information from many points. We need to listen. And I'm so grateful that we're encouraged to take in wisdom and hear voices from many sources. Another point I love about Unitarian Universalism is we are encouraged to listen to the many parts of ourselves. We don't throw out our mind, but we also don't stay stuck there. We listen to our hearts, our spirits, and our bodies. We believe that ritual and truth can reside in our bodies, and we can use so many parts of ourselves for wisdom and guidance and strength and that grounding we need right now. But what is so amazing is that we don't have to do those practices that engage our heads and hearts and minds and bodies alone. Sometimes we do, but there's a greater power, I believe, in sharing with other people. We don't know where we're headed. We know we're in a storm, but together, embodied, we will get there. Many years ago, when I was in college, 3 of us stayed up most of the night grappling with a terrible pain and heartbreak. One of my friends had realized that she needed to make the decision to terminate her pregnancy. It was best for her and her child, but that didn't make it easy. We grappled with a complexity of pain and rightness, and we stayed up all night together, 2 of us giving her support, our hearts breaking along with hers, and we told stories and we sang songs. We sang hymns. and we sang every silly tune that had ever brought us comfort. We bared our souls. It's like dancing in front of the mirror, right? We sang our silly tunes together, and those songs formed a raft that carried us into the next terrible day together. So here we are, soaked, alert, and wanting to stay that way. But we have some firm ground to stand on, to help us keep our eyes open, to help us name our reality, to help us look for the best next steps, and to help us stay alert, alive, together.
One more word, we will say one more word, till every word is heard by everyone. We'll say one more word, one more prayer, we will say one more prayer, till every prayer is shared by everyone. We'll say one more prayer, one more song, we will sing one more song, till every song is sung by everyone. We'll sing one more song, one more song.
I extinguish this flame with these words by the Reverend Sherry Woodbury, to speak, listen to, and care for our stories. May we have the courage to speak or write the stories within that need to be told, stories that make up our lives. May we listen with a loving mind and heart to the stories of others' lives, others here in our churches, others in our wider community and world. Let us choose with care the stories that we teach to our children, remembering that all of our stories have power and that all of our stories are connected, for all of life is one. In the name of all that is sacred in these gathered hearts, may it be so. Amen.